Some mysteries refuse to die. Some leave behind questions that can never be answered. Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving deep into the massive scale of unsolved disappearances across the country. And we're going to explore a chilling pair of cases that are tied together by one tragic name. We're looking at the broader true crime epidemic, specifically through the lens of the Emily Carter mysteries. Now, to really grasp the stakes of what we're talking about today, I want you to think about the numbers 25 to 50. That is the FBI's current official estimate of active serial killers operating within the United States right now. We aren't talking about historical figures from the 1970s. These are active predators who are currently evading law enforcement. The wider epidemic of missing people is frankly staggering. Just in the FBI's highway serial killing initiative alone, we are looking at over 400 unidentified suspect profiles. We're talking about interconnected networks of predators hiding right in plain sight. Countless missing persons worldwide, and mysteries where the answers remain completely, permanently buried. But to truly understand the sheer horror behind these statistics, we need to shift our focus to a very specific, isolated town that completely swallowed its secrets whole. Part 1. Welcome to Blackwater Pines. Welcome to Blackwater Pines. It's a tiny spot in the Pacific Northwest, with just 2 roads in and 1 road out. By all accounts, this is a town that has learned to simply keep its mouth shut. Over the past 40 years, exactly 11 people have vanished from these surrounding woods. Not a single body has ever been recovered. There have been 0 suspects and absolutely no answers. And that brings us to our very first case file, Emily Carter. Emily was a 28-year-old investigative journalist, and she was known for chasing down the dark stories that literally no one else would touch. She arrived in Blackwater Pines in October of 2019. She'd been lured there by an anonymous tip, and she was seeking answers to these disappearances, in a town where the locals completely refused to speak to outsiders. Let's trace her final days because the timeline here is absolutely crucial. On September 14, 2019, she receives an anonymous 6-line letter with no return address. By October 14th, which was day 3 of her trip, she's encountering total hostility. The local diner goes dead silent the second she walks in. But then on October 15th, she makes a massive breakthrough. Out in the woods, she discovers an abandoned ranger station containing the 1997 journals of a missing forest ranger named Daniel Hove. His writings point her directly to the old Blackwater mine. Finally, on October 17th, at exactly 4:12 p.m., Emily leaves a voicemail for her editor saying she found something. She was never heard from again. Part 2. The final 11 seconds. Emily made the incredibly doomed decision to enter that sealed Blackwater mine by herself to find out exactly what Daniel Hove had been so terrified of. Her recovered helmet cam footage is super fragmented, but about 200 feet in, you see the tunnel open into a concrete chamber, and inside was this chilling collection of items. A child's sneaker, a wedding ring, a wristwatch permanently stopped at 6:42, a press badge, and 11 photographs pinned to the walls. They were the faces of the 11 missing people of Blackwater Pines. Now beyond that concrete chamber was a heavy steel door. Inside that room sat a single chair and a tape recorder that was already queued up. Emily pressed play. And in the dark, she heard this exact terrifying phrase. "They'll never stop looking, but they'll never find the truth." And right after that, the audio picks up slow, deliberate footsteps approaching from directly behind her. She ran for exactly 11 seconds before her camera completely cut out. But here is the absolute kicker. Later, when investigators did a frame-by-frame analysis of her recovered camera and drone footage, they realized something they initially missed. She had a hidden stalker. The exact same unidentified man was watching her in the diner, across from the general store, in the reflection of the ranger station window, and in the final 3 frames of her terrified run deep inside the mine. We still don't know his name or if he's even still out there, but it forces us to pivot and ask a deeply unsettling question. What if the true crime epidemic had swallowed this exact name before? Part 3. The Mill Creek Monster. So let's leave 2019 behind for a second and drop into this seemingly idyllic town of Mill Creek, Indiana, in the summer of 1999. You know, the kind of place where people used to leave their front doors unlocked. The crucial point we need to look at here is comparing these 2 tragedies. In Blackwater Pines in 2019, we have a 28-year-old journalist lured by a letter into a dark forest mine. But 20 years earlier, in Mill Creek in 1999, another Emily Carter, this one is 17-year-old high school senior, with big dreams of becoming a journalist, vanished just walking home on a warm summer night. 2 victims, the exact same name, falling prey to completely different predators decades apart. In the Mill Creek case, an anonymous tip led police straight to their primary suspect, a man named Daniel Reeves. He was a 38-year-old local mechanic, mostly known around town as quiet, but definitely odd. Neighbors had frequently reported strange noises coming from his garage late at night. Police finally cornered him down near the town's storm drains. When they surrounded him out in the woods, Reeves was actually dragging a duffel bag. Detectives unzipped it, and what was inside was pure nightmare fuel. Ropes, duct tape, knives, and a thick stack of highly disturbing Polaroid photographs documenting his previous crimes. But as they dug frantically through that bag, a chilling realization hit them. Emily wasn't inside. Reeves was arrested right on the spot, smirking the entire time. After hours of intense, grueling interrogation back at the station, he finally leaned in close and whispered just 3 sinister words to the detectives. "Check the water." That tip led dive teams straight to a submerged barrel in the local reservoir, ultimately sealing his life sentence. Part 4. Accomplices in the Shadows. Now you'd think that locking away a monster like Daniel Reeves would end the nightmare for Mill Creek forever, right? But putting away one predator doesn't always close the book. Out of nowhere, unsigned, cryptic letters started arriving at the Mill Creek Police Department, detailing brand new, hidden locations scattered all around the county. It became glaringly obvious that someone on the outside still held the town's dark secrets. Let's break down this terrifying sequence of events. Step 1. Remember, it was an anonymous caller who originally led the police to Reeves in the first place. Step 2. These cryptic letters start taunting police with new locations, and they always end with the phrase, "You missed her." Step 3. Following one of those letters, police discover an abandoned shack out on the county line. And inside, it was a collection of other women's belongings, jewelry, shoes, purses, and absolutely none of them belonged to Emily. This massive discovery pointed to a horrifying theory that federal task forces constantly have to investigate. It's called an accomplice network. This is defined as a coordinated group of predators trading victims and sharing information through coded letters, hiding right in plain sight. This strongly suggested that Daniel Reeves didn't act alone. It was a web. And honestly, this was practically confirmed by Reeves himself. When detectives pushed him while he was in prison, demanding to know who made that anonymous phone call that led to his arrest, Reeves just smiled and muttered, "Friends look out for each other." Which brings us right back to this number, 400. As we discussed at the very top of the explainer, this is the number of unidentified suspect profiles currently being tracked by federal task forces in the Highway Initiative alone. These networks are real, guys. They operate right under the radar. And so, we are left with a reality that is just incredibly hard to shake. With dozens of active killers and an unknown number of accomplices still operating out there in the shadows, communicating in codes and sharing their darkest secrets, who is watching from the tree line right now? It's a terrifying thought for sure, but understanding these patterns is the very first step in bringing these mysteries into the light. Thank you so much for joining me to explore these cases today. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and I will see you in the next explainer.